Hey everyone, welcome to our weekly live stream program. I'm Angie, Field Marketing Manager, part of the marketing team at Hygraph, and I will be your host for today's session. This is our last live stream that we're doing for this year, and we've had a pretty exciting year full of great sessions. Today's topic is just as exciting. We're talking Hygraph product updates and new features. So I've invited some of my colleagues from the product team to join me so that they themselves can tell you all about the new features, updates, and answer your questions. So let me just add them one by one and introduce them. So first up, Alexey. He's our engineering manager turned product technical PM with a high preference for technical audiences and internal platforms. I want to share his LinkedIn profile in the comment section with you. So just in case you want to connect with him, want to ask him any questions.
Hello. Nice to be here with you today.
Hello, Alexey. Next up, I'm going to add Daniil. He's our editor experience product manager. He's been working with content management throughout his career. And firstly, as a content editor, then as a product manager. And I'll add his LinkedIn profile as well, just in case you want to connect with him. I already see some people in the chat. Hello, team. Hello, Gabriel, Mahaver. And last but not least, I'm going to add Fabian. Fun fact, Fabian joined as Hygraph employee number 2, went from doing everything, even customer support, to product owner. So now he's a PM for the core team. Hi, Fabian.
Hey.
Let me add your LinkedIn profile as well so everybody can connect with you. Hello, Juandi. All the rock stars, yes. So how are you doing today, team? How's your day?
Fantastic.
I think most of us are based in Berlin, where it's pretty gloomy, pretty cold, except for you, Alexey. You're sunny Barcelona. Do you see the sun?
Yeah. Not anymore, but yeah, it's mostly sunny. It's one of the reasons that I'm here.
Awesome. So if anybody in the chat wants to share where you're watching from, where you're tuning from, leave it in the chat. We'd love to see where you're watching us from. And if you want to connect with all of us, ask us any questions. We do have a Slack community. So join the Slack channel. You can find all of us there. So I think it's time we get started with the sessions and kick this off. First of all, I want to invite Daniil to share with us some new features that will ease up an editor's and marketers and a developer's life at work. This is pretty intriguing for me as well as a marketer. So I'm looking forward to this one. And reminder for the audience, if you have any questions during the sessions, please drop them in the chat from any platform that you're watching, whether it's LinkedIn, Twitter, or YouTube. And then we'll be able to answer them after the session. So, Daniil, I'm going to allow the stage to you, and you can take it away.
Thank you. All right, so let's do it, folks. I have 5 new updates to present in the editorial experience part of Hygraph, and we're mainly going to be looking at the content section, but also there are 2 features that we're going to start with that need some setup on the schema side, so we're going to start with those. Number 1 is the feature called Conditional Fields. So basically, the idea here is that some of the fields can become conditional, like this one, sale CTA. And basically what it means is that certain fields that you decide can become hidden or shown based on a certain condition. And this is how you set it up. You need the base field, what we call a base field, that will sort of define that will help you define the condition. So in my example here, I have an e-commerce shop and I have a product model that has a bunch of fields, and I don't want all of those fields to be shown to my editors all of the time. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a condition that the sale CTA and a sale promo end date, those fields are only going to be shown when the on sale Boolean field is true, right? I already have it here, so I'm not going to go through the whole setup. And let's put a pin on that. We're going to see it in action just in a second. The other feature that we need to set up here in the schema is about formatting options for rich text. we don't really, as you can see, we don't really have the super great name for the feature. 4 words is probably too much. So if you have any ideas what this could be called, just let us know in the comments, please, and we will happily oblige. But basically, the idea here of the feature is you can limit the number of formatting options that your editors have in your rich text. So for example, here I've decided that I only need 3 headings instead of 6. I don't need the code and code block, for example, because it's an e-commerce shop where I'm selling some piece of clothes. So code doesn't really make sense here, as well as tables. I don't really want to deal with tables. So I'm limiting that in my detailed description rich text field. And now let's see both features in action. So I'm going to create a new entry. And we're going to start with conditional fields. So here it's the sort of the template, right? The original product page. And at the moment, we don't see anything, any other fields apart from all of this relational fields. We don't see anything else below the on sale Boolean field. What I'm going to do is, for example, I can press false. So this is a product. Let's sell maybe a football jersey today. I'm going to sell a football jersey. And well, originally it wasn't on sale, but now it's the Black Friday Christmas period. So let's turn this option on and our 2 fields appear right there. So they only appear here because the circumstances dictate so, right? The circumstances are adequate for those fields, and I only need them now during the sale season. So I'm gonna fill it in with some content, and let's say buy this jersey, and let me also add a date. I don't know. Let's say, well, we're gonna have a different maybe CTA for Christmas, so let's end it in the middle of December. And so that is basically it. Those are the conditional fields. They also marked as such in the field outline right here on the left side that allows you to quickly jump to any field that you want. And also they're marked like that in the content form, even with a tooltip that tells you basically what is the condition at play. And then the second thing is that we set up in the schema was the detailed description. As you can see, this is your regular rich text field, but it only has, for example, 3 headings instead of the regular 6, and it doesn't have any additional options here on the right-hand side with all of your code stuff hidden, as well as the table, stuff like that. So when I'm going to be formatting this text that I'm going to add here, I can only use the options that are available right there. And that is pretty much it about those first 2 features that we need to set up in the schema and then use in the content form. Let me add something here in the description field so that I can save that entry because, well, it's a required field. We're going to say, this is an awesome jersey. Let's save it. Okay, I'm missing the price. Let's also add some price. How much are we charging? 70 euros. Sounds fair, even though actually on the cheaper side, I guess, for football jerseys nowadays. But anyway, that is it about the first 2 features. And now let's go to the ones to the 3 features that are kind of united by the same topic, the same theme, and it's about allowing the editors to find the content, the relevant content that they're looking for quicker than they can now. That they could actually before those features were released. And the first one is what we called a recently viewed menu. So recently viewed menu, you can access it in 2 different ways. You can press Command K or Control K if you're on Windows, and this kind of menu will pop up. If you're in the content section, then you will immediately see this list that is called recently viewed. And basically what it does, it allows you to access the content entries that you, recently viewed. It's kind of in the name. For example, the football jersey thing, I viewed it right now, and I can quickly jump back to it. The Atomic Habits, we're also selling books, as you can see. This was the previous entry that I looked at, so, by that logic, I can also very quickly access it. This is helpful, especially for editors, especially for projects where a lot of models, a lot of custom views are present there on the screen. Because, as an editor, you kind of have your context usually, like, you deal with only that many content entries in a week, so you don't really want to go through all of your views trying to find that, I don't know, product variant or product size or a certain product or an order or a collection that you were just working on. So it's easier to just press the button, for example, here and find it in this list. The list, as far as I remember, is only, so the limit of the list is 30 entries. So you cannot see anything above that, but that should probably be enough. If it's not, please let us know, and we can find a better solution. And yeah, so that's pretty much it about the recently viewed menu. The other thing that also helps you find a certain entry, certain document in your project faster is what we call the grid view, which you can access here in the asset view, or also in the asset picker, for example, here where you would add, we have images here. So this is an asset picker. And here you can switch to the grid view. So that feature, I guess, is pretty much self-explanatory as well, right? Larger thumbnails, really cool, especially if you have some images that are very similar in the table view here, right? We have like a bunch of just black clothes, especially we have 1, 2, 3 black shirts. And here it's really hard to say like what kind of logo we have on a shirt. You would probably need to click on them to open the previews. Quite a lot of clicks, quite a lot of just messing around the view. Instead, what you can do now is quickly switch to the asset picker and quickly see that, okay, this is a Graph CMS logo, our older logo. This is a more sort of concise Hygraph logo, and this is an even older thing that, you really need to know Hygraph lore to understand what this one is about. Let us know in the comments if you're curious about this logo. And finally, so grid view, and you can also do it in the asset view right there. It also remembers your selection, basically. So next time when you go in here, it will also be in the view, in the type of view that you've decided to pick. And the final thing that I want to show for today is the feature called quick filters. So quick filters can be accessed through the regular filter menu. This is the new, we have a new section here. We used to have the old column filters right here, but we realized that, especially with something that is a bit more complex, for example, with date filters, it's a bit of a chore to set it up because, if I want to see everything that was created, for example, since yesterday, I would need to, first of all, find the filter in the list. I would need to understand what those conditions are. Then it's all about picking the date. What was yesterday? Okay, so it probably was December 3rd. Then I realized, okay, is not the condition I'm looking for. I'm looking for greater than, or actually equal to. So a lot of, again, sort of tricky setup process to actually reach a pretty simple result. So we are offering here now in this quick filters menu, we're offering some predefined shortcuts to that exact way of just narrowing down the items that you see in your content table. So if you want to see something that was created since yesterday, you have exactly that option right here. If you then realize, okay, I actually, I need something that was created since the beginning of the week, you can very quickly just, change the date. I don't have any, I only created one entry here, so nothing changes. And the same idea with other things like created by me. Everything is basically pre-built when you pick a certain option among those that are available here in quick filters. Again, like I mentioned at the beginning, the idea is that this should help sort of cut down on the time that it takes an editor to find relevant content. So all three of those updates were aimed exactly at that. And that is pretty much it on my side. Thank you for your attention. Let me know if you have any comments, if you have any questions.
Thank you, Daniil. So as a marketer myself, I was very excited for the launch of these features. I use Hygraph at least weekly to publish different event pages, even live stream events such as this one. So if I need to make changes to agenda, speaker, profile updates, anything, these are very handy. the quick filters, the recently viewed menu, so I can go there and make any changes super quickly. I also do have a follow-up question, but I see there's already questions in the chat as well. So we can go ahead and get started with that one first. There's one question from Nick. Is it possible to create your predefined quick filters?
It's a good question. At the moment, no, you cannot do it. But that would be definitely an interesting use case, because we actually, when we were defining the basically the the requirements for that feature, the challenge that we faced was like, in many cases, the fields that you want to use in the filter, those are custom, obviously, right? Because you create them. So we thought about trying to guess it somehow. Didn't really work out. So we only use the system fields for now. As you saw in the presentation, it's about like the created at field, the updated by, all of this stuff that we already have in the system. Like in any case, those fields you cannot delete, or you really need to work very hard to delete it, and then the system is probably going to be broken if you actually manage to delete them. So the answer is no for now, but it's the first version of the features, and we're very happy to consider any kind of potential improvements like that for the future. Nick, if you have more thoughts on that, please send me a message on LinkedIn, or if you have other ways of contacting Hygraph, very happy to hear more about your idea.
Yep. I also think if you do have any other questions, put them in the chat. And yeah, Nick, if you want to talk to us about this, join the Slack channel. You can find us all there. I can definitely understand how these features make my life easier. But I wanted to know, how do these features impact the developer's day-to-day workflow? Or how does it simplify their life?
Yeah, absolutely. That's also a good question, because the first, especially the first two, right? That we talked about at the beginning. They, especially actually both of them, but I think I especially like the rich text formatting options limitation, or the ability to limit them, because this way it's just about getting calmer as a developer, because you don't really need to worry about how my rich text field would look like on my front end if somebody just inserts a table, right? Like a random table. Okay, we have like the editorial guidelines, no tables please, or no code blocks, but then if the button is there, you can never be 100% sure that nobody's gonna edit. So because of that, you need to make sure that every possibility is properly processed and properly displayed on the front end, so the website doesn't look broken. And with this option to just remove table as a potential formatting options from rich text, you basically, you buy yourself an hour of your time, I guess, because you don't have to worry about, and you don't have to implement it in your front end and test it and all of that. So that is pretty much, this is how the developers really benefit from this kind of feature.
Cool. Thank you. Let's see if we have any other questions here. Not for now, but thank you, Daniil. We still have time for questions in the end. So if you still have some questions for Daniil, any of the features that was mentioned, you can leave them in the chat and we'll get to them in the end as well. So next up, I want to bring in Fabian to the stage. Hello, Fabian.
Hello. Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. I know you also have some exciting product updates, so please take it away. I'll add your screen to the stage. And yeah, kick us off.
Indeed, thank you. Yeah, Daniil showed some great features relating more to the editor side of things and also developers. Today, I want to showcase 2 additional features that the core team has been working on. They're mainly focused on project admins though, but yeah, I just want to showcase a bit what we've been working on. So with the first feature, I want to talk a bit about backup and recovery. And backup and recovery is essentially a way that we build a functionality that allows you to safeguard your content with pretty much instant and sort of one-click actions. And for this one, it's really just about peace of mind for the project admins. And I want to make sure that in any case where content might have been lost, schemas might have been deleted, there's a super easy way to jump back and recover all of that and make sure your project or your website is working in a couple of seconds again. So to showcase this, first of all, this is an enterprise add-on feature. So if you're on an enterprise plan, this is something that you can additionally add to your subscription. And first of all, you would head into the project settings, and then you would head into the backup and recovery section here. If you have the feature enabled, this is roughly how it would look like. If not, there will be a call to action and you can reach out if you have any questions and want to enable it. And the first thing you would do here is essentially see when a next backup would happen. And you also see the list of available backups already. And what the feature is doing internally is pretty much every single day, we do a snapshot of your master environment, which is in most cases your production environment as well. And we'll store it for, in this case, up to 7 days. So let's say this morning, you noticed that there were some products from your website deleted, or some assets were missing, or generally just maybe a model were missing, and now you're having errors on your website. With this, you can now easily go back to a specific date and time where you knew that the content was still there, recover it, and then have everything running again. So how to do that specifically is, let's say this morning I noticed something was deleted, and I know yesterday it was still there, so I could jump back to my backup from the 3rd of December. And there's 2 options now I have when I want to recover this. So clicking recover here brings up an option where it asks me to restore the backup only. In this case, we would essentially turn this backup into a normal environment, just like any other. You can open it up, you can see the content, you can copy it over manually if you want to. But there's also the second option to recover the backup and also automatically promote it to master, meaning the current master environment will be replaced by this one, and everything is served from that backup, which means in most cases, the content will be there again and everything should work on your website. In this case, we'll just do the restore only. We'll click the button here. This takes a couple of seconds, just essentially turning this into a real environment. And then you can also access it like any other environment, make changes, see the schema and everything that you want to do with it. So now we're over here on our environments view, and right on here is where the backup will appear. You can see the backup's 3rd of December is right here. I can promote it if I wanted to, but I can also just head into this environment like any other. And you can see there's schema is here that I had before. There's content, there's assets, everything is here. And with this, we really want to make sure that if you're planning bigger changes on your content, if you even have some fears about potentially content being deleted, from developers running some migrations, from content editors accidentally pressing the wrong button, this gives you a safeguard and you can really jump back to any sort of previous state from the last 7 days. If you want to try it out, feel free to reach out. You can find it, as mentioned, in the project settings here under backup and recovery. You can reach out to us via Slack, via Intercom, and then the sales team will get in contact and discuss further options. Do we have any questions already?
Thank you so much, Fabian. Yes, I'll look at the chat. We do have a question already, actually. So let me put that up to the screen. We have a question from Nick. Do you advise backing up the master environment if restoring and immediately promoting the backup to master?
That's a good question. In the case of promoting environments, you actually are not deleting the previous master environment. It just gets a new name that you choose. So for example, old master or master with some kind of date behind it. So essentially you're not losing it. You can always jump back to it. You can open up. You can even promote it again if you needed to. The promotion workflow is really just a renaming of environments. And then nothing will get lost if you promote, actually.
Nick had also another question. Is there a limit of how many times we can restore the backup within a given month or certain time period?
Yeah, so essentially restoring a backup is immediately turning it into an environment. And then at this point, you won't be able to restore it again. It's turned into a normal environment. You will have access to it at any point, right, until you delete it. And then essentially it's there as an environment. Plus, also one thing to mention, which I forgot, is even if you're at the limit already of available environments, so you yourself couldn't clone additional environments, you can still recover the backup just to make sure that you can, like, at any point in time, you can recover your website, you can get back up into a running state in a matter of seconds, as you've seen. So we don't want to put any limits on this specific case, really, because we know how frustrating or how dangerous it can be in these scenarios if you have a limit reached and cannot recover at that point.
Thank you, Fabian. For anyone in the audience, if you do want to read more about backup recovery and asset migration, we do have 2 blog posts. You can read more at your convenience. I'll share the links below. Maybe you can save them for later, bookmark them. And again, if you do have questions, You can find us all in the Slack community. I'll put that link below as well. And maybe as a final question from my end, more on the general front, is there anything I need to be aware of when migrating to a new asset?
Yeah, for this, we can actually jump right into my demo as well. We can go ahead and share my screen, and then I can walk you through a bit how that looks like.
Awesome. Let me put that up.
All right, perfect. Yeah, so as some of you might have been aware, earlier this year, we launched the new asset system, the Hygraph Asset Management, with improved performance, with more transformations available, also a redesigned upload workflow. And with this specific feature, the asset migration tooling, we want to be able to give everyone on the old asset system the opportunity to relatively easy and seamless migrate to this new asset system by just essentially by the press of a button. So first of all, most projects that are created nowadays will be on the new asset system, so this won't be relevant for you. It's more for customers or users that have been with us for a while. So in order to find out which asset system you're using, the easiest way is to jump into the asset view of your project and click the upload widget. If you see this specific upload widget I'm showing right here with Facebook, Instagram, Google Drive on the side, this means you're using the old asset system, and all of this, what I'm showing, will be relevant. If you don't see this, then you're already on the new asset system and there's no action required, at least on the project you're in right now. To get started, pretty much, the migration flow is pretty much as simple as it should be. If you have a project that has the asset migration tooling enabled, so that's a gradual rollout we're doing right now, we can expect in roughly 1 or 2 weeks, it will be available in your project as well. Your project owner will get an email, but you also see this nice banner on the left-hand side here telling you that your project requires an asset migration. If you click on this link provided here, you'll jump into the environments view, and this is where you can do all the migration for your project that you will need to do. First up, you have the CTA here at the top telling you again about what the asset management is, what the upgrade will do, and there's also a link to our documentation. This is really exhaustive and tells you really what are the changes in the new asset system, URLs changing, asset upload flow changing, transformations that you need to be aware of, and it also walks you through the different migration methods we have. So the first one essentially is clicking on migrate here. You can migrate your master environment directly if you wanted to. There's also the option to actually test things before you do it. This is available for paid projects, so essentially projects that can create environments. You can clone your master environment with the new asset system. So essentially what it does, it creates a copy of your master environment with the new asset system under the hood. And then you can test things there, connect it to your website locally, and just see how things work, if everything is as expected, or if you need to still do changes. And if everything is okay, you can go ahead and migrate, and everything should be fine. The second option, or the last option here, pretty much is that you can migrate any other environment in your project. So in my case, I have dev and staging, and all of them can be migrated. I'll actually go ahead and start this process for the staging environment. So let me just quickly confirm that I have read the docs. I can start it. So what happens now in the background, we'll launch an async job that handles all of this. And also, while this is ongoing, the project is put into a read-only state. So if I open this specific environment now, you can see on the left-hand side, the setting up the migration is our step right now, and the environment is in read-only mode. It means you can't do schema changes, and there's also no content changes that can be done. We just want to make sure that while this thing is ongoing, nothing interferes with it, and the migration can run as it should. And what's happening now with the migration, so this step can take up to a minute or two, really depends on how many migrations are going on at a time, but it's essentially, it's relatively fast, even if you have a couple of assets in your project. And what is happening here is we'll take the files from the old asset system, copy it into the new one, and then we'll go through your content and migrate any asset URLs that are used in the content already. So with anything in Hygraph, if you have string fields, for example, Markdown is an example, if you have rich text, any assets you use in these fields that are Hygraph assets, we will already make sure that the URL gets replaced to the new one, and you don't need to care about that at all. The only thing is, after the migration is done, you'll need to make sure that if you have any external, like if you use our Hygraph assets anywhere externally, you'll need to update the URLs as well. So as you can see, we're already at the step of updating asset URLs, we're completing, and now everything is done, and we get a migration completed. There's also an email being sent to the owner, so they're aware that everything is done. And that's pretty much it. And this is the same step for all the environments. And it's, as we made it as straightforward as we could, and also as seamless and smooth, so you don't really need to worry about updating things in Hygraph itself. That's pretty much it for the asset system, for the updates. If you have any questions, if you have any concerns, if you have any feedback for the whole process and want to know when it's available for your project or have any questions before doing it, feel free to reach out via our Slack channel, via our intercom support right here in the bottom, or you can also reach me on LinkedIn if there are any questions.
Thank you, Fabian. I'm going to give a look at the comment section if there are any questions for you. And in the meantime, if you want to read more about Studio docs in general, you can find them here. You can read more about it. If you have any questions, you can find that on Slack. Okay, so there's no questions for now, but just a reminder, we do have quite a Q&A section for the end. So if you do have any questions for Fabian, then you can still ask them in the end. And then last but not least, I'm going to invite Alexey to the stage.
Hello.
And he has some really exciting updates, some project directory, API and SDK updates, as well as some pricing. So Alexey, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Yeah. So the big part for me is our new project directory update. So this is mostly a technical project, but we also wanted to give it more value by improving the flows that we already had in the product. So since the studio project that you probably are familiar with, we wanted to bring the project directory, which is the list of projects you have and everything that's supporting it, also to the same technology stack, to allow us to reuse the design system components, to allow us to have everything within the same technologies, the same stack. So just to streamline the work processes, streamline our work, and just also ensure we can support the proper quality for all of our products that we do. But we also included some upgrades compared to the previous directory. One of them is we will now be showing status of things that are going on in projects that you are not part of yet. So if you have a large clone that is going on, or if you have the project that for some reason failed to clone or failed to create, you will have this in this block on top of your project. So you will never be in the dark about what's going on. You will still be able to see at least what is happening, and if the clone is in progress, you will be able to also see what is the progress and what should you expect. The invites are there, and the lists we decided to move to more vertical composition, just to unclog it a little, to make sure you can always do Control F and search by your description, because you see, there is a full description here. So even if you have many projects, it's a little easier to search for them. Also, the navigation is a little quicker. We do have some updates for the apps part. So we have this new apps management, and some of the recent updates is now when you're creating an app, first you have this user which lets you add the user data to your app context. So now you can use role or permissions that your users have while creating your apps. So this is one of the things you can do. Another is you can do control who can install your app. So you can either say the app is private or shared. And if it's private, you can either allow it to some specific people, some specific emails, or to some specific projects. So if you want to create an app, but you only want your organization, your company to use it, and you want to make sure that it's inaccessible to anyone outside of your selected group, you can use this feature. And if you want to do some roles and permissions control within the app, you can you get user data, and it will be in your context in your app. Then also, we didn't talk about it, even though it's been there for a while, but we also have this new survey small survey when you are just sign up for Hygraph. First part is just you stating your role. It doesn't affect your overall experience yet, but then we are offering you the way to start. How do you want to start with Hygraph? So we are at least showing you the main ways of how people start interacting with Hygraph. So if you know you're coming in with existing project, you can join, and it will lead you to the invite that you were sent before. You can start from template, and we will show you several of our most used templates, or you can go to all starters, or you can just get a clean project, and it will lead you straight to the new project creation instead of going into the project directory. Overall, it's all streamlined, and new directory should be working much quicker now. Should be more seamless, and now we can go into one project, and there is oh yes, of course, and account settings are also here. So everything you do, everything you manage with your account is also part of this new directory. Another part of the update we did is in end of summer, start of autumn, we have rolled out the new pricing plans. So now when you go to billing and you go to manage plan, you see the main, you see one unified self-service plan, the growth plan. So we did streamline the pricing a little, not a little, but streamlined it quite a bit. You now don't have to choose between two growth plan and bigger, we had scale plan. You now have the unified plan. And if you need more than that, but you still are not in this enterprise realm, you can always request add-ons. And this is more flexible, and it will allow you to, if you need to customize the plan to your needs. So yeah, these are my updates for today. So mostly facelifts and technical updates, but preparing for more things to come.
Thank you, Alexey. I'm going to go ahead and add everybody to the stage now, so we can also start with the last Q&A session. I do have a couple of questions for you from my end. And then we'll look at the questions in the chat. Just a reminder, if you do have any questions for anything that Alexey, Fabian, or Daniel presented, you can put them in the chat. Okay, Alexey will be back in a second. Just a reminder again, if you want to talk to us, you have any questions, we're always in the community Slack. All of us are there. All Hygraph people are there. So join the community Slack, be part of the community, sign up for the product. I'm going to put a couple of links below so you can join our Slack channel as well as sign up directly for free. And then we'll go ahead and get started with the Q&A in a second. So grab your questions and get ready. All right. And I'm getting my questions for Alexey ready as soon as he comes back in a moment. In the meantime, everybody in the audience, please feel free to put your questions in the chat. Okay. Do we have any other comments so far?
The presentations were too good, I guess. To left no questions. Everything's too clear.
That's always great. Okay, Alexey is back, so I'm bringing him back. So why do you think, this is a question for me, why do you think users would spend time answering the survey?
Yeah, so we did design it in the way that we really wanted to ask questions, but at the same time provide value. So the second one is, obviously, we want to know how people want to start learning Hygraph and how people prefer to start using Hygraph. But we also immediately, as you choose your way, we give you the options of, do you want to explore your best practices and browse the templates, or do you want to just start fresh and start building something, and then learn your way through. So this is the way that I do it usually. And we intend to keep it minimal always. But even with the first question, with the role, we intend to tailor the further onboarding within a project to the answers to that initial question. So we do want to make sure that whatever questions we ask, we never ask them just to collect data, but also to tailor the experience to the specific user. So we don't want to ask questions just to ask questions. We want to ask questions to immediately give you the proper way, the way that you prefer to learn the product.
Thank you, Alexey. And then this is our last questions from all of us. Can you pick any favorite update or feature from what was presented today, and why is that your favorite?
Yeah. I think for me, it's conditional fields. We worked on it together with Daniil, and I think it's a feature that does not. It's a feature that not only just gives you some options, but that combines very well with some other features that Hygraph does. So when you have this 1 + 1 = 3, when you combine it with something else, or just it's a nice standalone feature that can be just used in a clean and a simple schema to simplify something. But then if you have something large, like the larger and the more complex your project is, the more value it gives you. And I really like it about it.
Yep. And any other comments from Fabian or Daniil? Any favorite features? Any reasons why?
I think I don't want to be boring and point out the ones that I presented, because of course I'm a bit biased towards them. I feel the recently viewed one is one of the very good ones. It's such a subtle thing, but it's just so easy to use. And like whenever I'm using Hygraph myself, it's just so easy to jump back right into the things that I was looking at. So yeah, it's such a nice addition. It's so easy to access, and yeah, I think for me that's my favorite.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'd mention maybe the. I think the backup and recovery thing really just there's. I like those features that you don't really need them most of your time, but when you do need them at that moment, it's like the best thing ever. Because if you don't have that, that is really really becomes a problem when it's this is a feature basically like it helps you sort of protect yourself from different kind of accidents, and accidents don't really happen very often, but well, I'm just repeating myself basically. Yeah, but when they do, you would really like to have a helping hand, and this is exactly it. So from that perspective, I think that's really awesome that we have that, and just everybody's the average peace of mind of Hygraph users is a bit elevated now thanks to that. So I'll pick this one.
I would agree with that. It's also the most helpful one for me as an editor, so makes it super easy, handy. We do have another question from Nick, so I'm going to put that up in the screen. What are the most common use cases that you've seen so far with conditional fields?
I think we can I think both Alexey and I, we can comment on that based on our experience. Well, from my side is really just I think the general idea is to kind of make that I've been seeing is that you make the content form easier to deal with for the editors, right? Because even in the example that I showed, where it was like, show specific fields based on a certain circumstance, not really even based on a certain field, but based on a certain circumstance, which is like, okay, yeah, you control it by the Boolean field, but whatever. Like if it is on sale, show all of those additional fields, right? Another example that I've seen is about like a sponsored post. Like if a post is sponsored, you need like a couple of additional configuration field, like you add a sponsor name, a link, maybe something else, which you wouldn't really need in any of the other case. So if conditional fields were not there, the editor would have to like spend their cognitive energy on, I don't know, ignoring those fields or not really, ignoring them basically. So conditional fields really help you kind of tailor the experience of a content editor based on a certain situation where they're in.
Yeah. I think I've seen one interesting use case, and the schema didn't look as clean because of that, but the way it looked for editor, I really liked. And it was basically, it was a replacement for modular component. So when you had, I don't remember what exactly it was, but for different use cases, they wanted to use different component for the same entry. And then they were just using the conditional fields with the drop down instead of it. So instead of opening the content entry, adding the component, and then filling in the component, they would instead, the user would choose something from the drop down menu, and they would see the list of fields that would be otherwise in the component. So I think, yeah, on the API side, it might not be as convenient to work with, but for the editor, it was like, it gave much more straightforward experience.
We do also have a comment from Pitchcraft Hub. Content entry configuration. Basically, you give the option to fill out different fields based on a configuration in the entry itself.
I think that's an answer to the next question. So,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yep. So let's see if there's any other questions. We still have some time for Q&A, and we are also getting closer to the end. So do you have any final thoughts, any last comments?
Well, from my side is only that thank you folks who tuned in, and if you have any feedback on all of those updates that we presented today, or actually anything else on the about the Hygraph app and the Hygraph experience in general, please reach out to us in whatever way you feel comfortable with, and yeah, we are always happy to hear feedback and new ideas from the community and from users. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I think it's time to wrap up. Thanks for everybody who's joining from different places. I did see Lisbon, France, Berlin, lots of Berlin. If you do want to talk more with us about the different features, product updates, you can find us in the community Slack. If you want to read more about the studio docs, there's a link at the bottom of the screen here where you can read more about the studio docs. Thank you so much, Alexey, Daniil, and Fabian for joining us to talk all about the product updates. Feel free to catch up with all of us in the community Slack. If you want to also see all of our past live streams, I'll link the playlist link here below. We've had really great sessions and really great guests. And I hope you've really enjoyed the session today. I hope to see you in the next upcoming streams. And I hope you take care. Until then, have a great rest of the day. And yes, see you soon.
Have a great one, everyone.
Bye-bye.